wanted to give one last final thought on the election. I've been following a lot of election content. I've actually made some election content here on the show. Um, I think a lot of people have been trying to understand what happened because a lot of us were surprised by the results of the election. I think that the gap between Trump's votes and Harris's votes is a lot smaller than what it initially looked like it was going to be. I think it's somewhere around 7 million votes now after everything's been counted, where it looked like it was 15 for a while. So it looks like closer to 7 million people that voted for Biden last time didn't vote for Harris this time. So um, that gap is a little more understandable, but still we got to point to the reasons, right? Uh, I've seen just in a lot of the content I've made, and I've sort of asked the questions of why people have made the decision to maybe vote for Trump this time when they voted for Biden last time. There was a lot of disconnect between people who were voting for reproductive rights down the ballot, right? And people assumed that a lot of, especially a lot of female voters who voted to keep reproductive rights, still voted for Trump at the top of the ticket. There was a very interesting phenomenon in New York City where a lot of people in AOC's district voted for Trump. Like they voted for her to keep her seat in Congress, but voted for Trump for president to the point where she was confused about it. And she went on her social media and was asking people who voted that way why they did so. Now, a lot of this has come down to people believing, whether it's true or not, that Trump will do more for working class people. That's what a lot of it seems to have come down to, is that whether or not it's true, a lot of people are convinced that Trump has said he is going to do more for working people. A lot of the motivation seems to be inflation and the prices of things and the availability of jobs. And honestly, there have been a lot of people who voted for Trump not understanding what the consequences of some of his choices might be on the goal that they say they want. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people who don't understand that if he puts tariffs on all imported goods, it's going to make things cost a lot more before it evens anything out. So the path, even if that was ultimately the pathway to more U.S. manufacturing, that road would touch on a lot of higher prices. Things would get a lot more painful before they felt any better for the working person, is what it, at least what the experts say would happen. But I do think there is a reason for the Democrats' loss that I haven't heard many people say. And it's something I've just been slowly piecing together with all of the feedback that I've seen. Um, and I think one of the big issues that we didn't realize was going to be an issue until after the fact is that we didn't have a primary. If you look at Trump's side, Trump has won 3 primaries now. He won 2016, he won 2020, and he won 2024. And he barely even participated and still won 2024. And what a primary allows people to do is really get in on the ground floor with a candidate. Like, a primary makes a candidate really have to get out there and campaign and really has to build support from the ground up. And Trump has now won 3 national primaries. Kamala Harris has won 0 national primaries. And I think that was a big difference. Like, if you go back to 2016, the last time the Democrats really had a real primary, I think it scared the DNC. Because what they all wanted to happen was for Hillary Clinton to get the nomination off top. So they did a primary. But then Bernie Sanders almost won the primary, and the DNC had to kind of collude to shut him down. But that's who people wanted. People were trying to get in on the ground floor in support of Bernie Sanders. That's who they were trying to choose. Now, if you look at the other side again, right? You have an instance there with the Democrats of, oh man, these people are all supporting this person. Let's collude as the DNC and the Democratic, consultation, and that whole industrial complex on that side got together and figured out how to go against what their own voters wanted. If you look at the Republican side, now this is where I think it's important to key in on this. Trump won in 2016. The Republican establishment was like, kind of iffy. But since people were rocking with him, they were like, cool. In 2020, the Republican National Committee and all of their donors were trying to stop him. But he won the primaries anyway. In 2024, they were trying to stop him again. They were trying to get together in their offices and meetings and figure out ways to stop Trump, and they couldn't do it. They tried to run with Ron DeSantis. Some of them wanted to run with Nikki Haley. The voters kept choosing Trump, so they rocked with Trump again. On the DNC side, they squashed Bernie in 2016. In 2020, on the Democratic side, they were trying to go for Bernie again. And the DNC and a bunch of sitting people in Congress that have the levers got together and decided to talk all the candidates to throw in for Joe Biden. Again, this is going against the will of the voters. Again, this is taking away the opportunity for people on the left to actually support the candidate they want again. Now, when Biden won, he said, I'm only going to run this one term. And I think a lot of people rightfully assumed that Kamala Harris would get the opportunity to run. But the way it happened, where Joe Biden started campaigning and running again, even though he said he wouldn't, to where the primary that we had in 2024 on the Democratic side was a complete sham. None of the institutions around the DNC were in any way trying to have a real primary so that real people could let people know who they support. So you basically get a sham primary where it's Biden again. Biden very obviously can't do it. Then there's this quick window. There's a quick window where they could have had an open convention at the DNC. And in that quick window, it may have been possible for people to have been able to choose in a spectrum of candidates. Like it would have been harder at that point to tie it into individuals' will the same way it would in a real primary, but there was no opportunity at all. They took that away. So when people get to the ballot box in 2024, and mind you, I think there's so many obviously terrible reasons for somebody to vote Trump personally. I feel like, again, and I'll say this over and over again, there's a lot of people in danger now. There's a lot of Latino people in danger now. There's a lot of trans people in danger now. Like, this shit is not a joke. You got Trump as a vindictive president with the Republican-controlled House and a Republican-controlled Senate. He's already naming every ghoul he's ever met as members of his cabinet. This shit is not going to be cool. But I'm trying to understand what happened. I'm trying to understand why so many people didn't feel motivated to vote for Harris. And I think not having a primary now, not really having had a real primary in the last 8 years, I feel like this is part of why the Democratic Party is in a position that it's in. We don't want to accept this amorphous, vague bag of policies in which some of it seems like it's for workers and other parts of it seem like it's for, military industrial complex, all, bullshit that happens internationally that we don't want. Again, those two things don't go together. And what they've been trying to do since Obama is to keep this same weird bag of policies and just change the face on it every election. Because that's the same way that they keep their donors happy and make some attempt to keep leftist voters happy. But it's not working anymore. Because I think we don't believe in the puppet in the front. We don't believe in the face of it. And again, believing in the face of it or not is another way people get tricked. But we do have to look at what's actually going to motivate people to come out and show their preference. At this point, we can't go on the bullshit support model anymore. And I think not having a primary is a huge way that the bag got fumbled. And like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.